one thing about that record that to this day I'm really grateful for. When we made that record, and people tried to do records after that, that, you know, about the same kind of thing. Like they tried to do the Rep Your Set record, right? Well, the Rep Your Set record wasn't as successful as the original Bangin' on Wax record, I think for one reason. And that is, when we did the Bangin' on Wax record, that was during the times of the Peace Treaty. So the Bloods and Crips were sitting down in the same room, writing, exchanging ideas, and creating together and collaborating together. That Rep Your Set record wasn't like that. I didn't engineer that record. My friend Bob Horn did. Bob Horn worked on that record. And Bob was like, man, it was some days, you know, like I never felt the need to have a pistol in the session. And I had one drawn on me in the session. But, you know, Bob was like, man, I was carrying my little gun with me. You know, Bob was a white cat, you know. He was like, you couldn't have certain, like if we was doing Crew Town Mafia, you couldn't have the John moves there on the same day. Or I'm just using that as an example. But, you know, it was like they couldn't create together is the point I'm trying to make, right? But it wasn't like that on the initial record. Right? They all sat down at the table. We all were together. And the really cool thing about that record was everybody had a great sense of humor in those sessions. You know what I mean? I mean, it would be 20 or 30 people in the room, and you know, when you get a bunch of young black cats together, it's gonna be some jokes. And we had these classic bagging sessions that were hilarious. You couldn't do that in today's crime. You know, because, you know, cats are quick to trigger. And I mean, Big Stretch, I mean, a little Stretch pulled a pistol on me, you know, from Bounty Hunters. He pulled a pistol on me because we got to having jokes, and, you know, I told him what I felt about his rhyming skills, and he pulled a pistol on me, you know, and I laughed at that. And because he was like, man, I'll kick your door in and whoop, 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 whoop. And I said, bro, I can't even get you to give me a ride home. Come on, man, knock that off. I asked you for a ride home. You ask me where I live. You're like, shit, I ain't going over there. But I'm just saying, there was never that threat like it was from what I understood, what's been told to me on the Rep Your Set records. And I think that's what separated the two. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, that record also, doing that record kind of stigmatized me personally, because I lost some high profile clients behind that record, because it was like, oh, Mike is really affiliated with gang bang ass dudes, and we don't want that problem on our sessions. We don't know if he might set us up. Blah, blah. That became that kind of burden, that kind of stigmatization. You know what I mean? But if I had to do it all again, I would. But I asked Ronnie when we did the very first record, I can't remember what it was, but when we first started recording, it was Neighborhood Joe from Compton. It was OG Sinlope from Compton. It was Big Y from Inglewood Family. And it was Stretch from Bounty Hunter. Right? And they immediately went to banging, like, fuck crap, fuck slime, fuck whoop, whoop, whoop. And I stopped the tape recorder. And this is a true story. I stopped the tape recorder. And I looked at Ronnie, I muted the talkback mic. And I looked at Ronnie and I said, is this what we really want, man? I thought we were going to tell, you know, tales of cautionary tales of this is what you don't want to do. But because of Ronnie's lack of connection to the street, he thought the violence he thought that shit was a joke. But what that shit did was impacted a lot of communities across the country. I went to Knoxville, Tennessee, and this is a town of less than 1 million people, at least it was back then. And when I went to Knoxville, Tennessee, I was meeting cats from Piru. I was meeting cats from Hoover. And I was like, did y'all get put on in the pen? You know, because I was like, well, how how y'all get put on? How did you get work? Because, a lot of cats get put on in the pen, but it wasn't I wasn't meeting cats that got put on in the pen. I was meeting cats that got influenced by that record. We started getting fan mail from all over the globe, dude. We was getting fan mail from Amsterdam and Brussels and England saying, I'm down with the Crips, I'm down with the Bloods. And I'm like, but why? Because we weren't articulate enough or weren't conscious enough to say this ain't the smartest choice to make in your life. We glorify it. You understand the point I'm trying to make here?
Totally, Doc.
At 67 years old, at 67 years old, I can look back and say, we shouldn't have done it in that manner. I'm not saying we shouldn't have done it, but I'm saying we should have approached it differently. You feel me?
Mike, when before Bangin on Wax came out, Unknown, my partner in crime, had an idea to do something similar to that called Slanging and Banging.
Right.
And I told him, nigga, I ain't fucking with that. I'm not doing that, dude. Oh, man,
exactly.
We can get paid. No, nigga, we can get shot too.
You get shot too. But see, here's the thing, right? And I don't want to disrespect the dead. I don't ever want to be perceived like that, right? But Ronnie and I had a lot of conversations about that. I said, bro, you're not in the streets. You don't see the impact that this record is having. Tweet did. Tweet did, though. And Tweet came to me and he's like, man, we should have listened to you. I said, I tried to tell you niggas you didn't know what you were getting into when you did that, and then, disrespect to my man Ronnie Phillips, but he wanted to be in the lap of the white boys. He was like, yo, man, I got Rush Regan, he gonna do this and do that. And guess what? Ain't nobody from that record or their descendants spend a dime of that money.
Mm.
That record sent their kids to college.
Russ Regan. Is he still alive?
Huh?
Is Russ Regan still alive?
I have no idea. I never met the man, and I hope I never, ever do. But he had a very horrible reputation.
Yes, he did.
In the business in the beginning.
Yes, he did.
Which is why I didn't understand why Ronnie wanted to be in bed with him, because he didn't have the most sparkling reputation in the beginning in the first place, right? And Duffy was really the first one outside of us in the control room. Duffy was the first one that went to Leon and was like, do you hear what them niggas is doing down there? And Leon came in, and then Leon and Duffy pulled us to the side and was like, dude, do not give